It's the mine that decides to detonate because of the action of the victim. It's completely indiscriminate because it doesn't tell the difference between a rhinoceros, a child, a soldier, a young woman. Landmines are so dumb, they never know the war is over. What you end up with is an eternal war.
Landmines are explosive devices hidden just under the surface of the ground. They are detonated by pressure or tripwire and are meant to devastate troops and vehicles. But landmines hurt civilians long after conflicts end. Landmines often remain uncleared and undiscovered until they explode. Most often, the victims are children, women, and farmers trying to rebuild and reclaim the land.
When territories are mined or feared to be mined, people will not go there. You lose access to fields. It impacts on moving around and on being able to recuperate your villages and recuperate your lives. And they last a really, really long time.
In the mid-1990s, Canada became a global leader in eliminating landmines. In 1997, 122 countries signed on to the Ottawa Treaty, also known as the Mine Ban Treaty. The signatories committed to never use or develop anti-personnel mines again. They also committed to destroying their stockpiles within 4 years, clearing mined areas in their territories within 10 years, and supporting mine-affected countries through mine clearing and mine risk education. Lieutenant Colonel Normand Levert saw Canada's efforts firsthand as part of the United Nations Mine Action Team, serving in places as diverse as Kosovo, Georgia, Honduras, and the Baltic states.
The number of people who were being affected by landmines in these regions of the world, in Africa, Cambodia, Southeast Asia, was quite large. And then the people were appalled by the whole thing and trying to push the idea that you would ban anti-personnel landmine. When Lloyd Axworthy was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, he picked up the flag and decided that it would be a cause that Canada would champion.
Today, it is estimated that there are still tens of millions of landmines in about 60 countries. Hunting for them is extremely difficult.
When you have guerrilla warfare, not everybody survives. You may have had a small group that planted mines and then eventually they get caught up somewhere else and they all perish and there's nobody who remembers where the mines were. You end up with a large unrecorded problem. In some cases, you find mine because of victims. We had a few soldiers killed in Bosnia, and the problem in a place like Cambodia and many other places is once time starts to go by, nature comes back. And the various traces that this was mine will disappear. The cleanup problem becomes worse because it's getting harder and harder to find the landmines. But the other problem we had in Cambodia is they have a lot of the soil is laterite. It's an iron-bearing soil. So no, people will tell you, you're looking for a needle in a haystack. That's not a big problem. I'm looking for a needle in a scrapyard. In order to be able to do safe mine removal, you need your eyes to be really, really big. If you're doing mine searching, it's mind numbing. And with a metal detector, you'd feel with your fingers, or sometimes what we use is interesting, low-tech does it. You take a coat hanger and you wrap it around your fingers loose and let it dangle underneath your finger. And you pass that through the grass, nice and gentle. And if it hits the tripwire, you'll feel a little tingle. At that point, you found a mine or a suspected mine. You got probably 3/4 of the battle done. Now you have procedures to be able to deal with the mines, called the cat and mouse game. The typical scenario would have been that you have one picket with a landmine on it. You have the wire going across whatever path, and then it's attached on the other side to another picket or attached to a tree. You follow the wire to the mine, and when you go to the mine, what you would normally do is you have the safety pin, so you can insert the safety pin and block the mechanism.
Lieutenant Colonel Levert's team oversaw the process of stockpiles destruction as Canadian representatives, and stockpile destruction has risks of its own.
You dig a pit, then you get all your stock of anti-personnel mines, I call it lasagna. You put the first layer of the landmines without the detonators in them, and then you put a layer of prill. Then you put another layer of landmines and again more prill. And the idea is to have the detonation go downward. So if any of those mines fail to detonate, we know where they are. They're in the hole. Because if you were to blow them up by putting the charge underneath them, you'd throw the garbage all over the place, and then you'd be back to the complicated problem.
Mine clearing is a slow job. Despite the best efforts of teams like Levert's, many areas still await clearance. So, education is a key part of protecting civilians against landmines and unexploded ordnance.
The saying goes that mine awareness saves more lives than demining. I will say that it will save more lives more quickly. What was happening is a lot of people get hurt because they don't know better. So the advantage of doing mine awareness is, they say, once forewarned is to be forearmed. So people recognize the danger, and as you start with the children, and in many cases we would use the children as well to educate the adults. Being with the mine action team was very satisfying. You can be in the front line of doing something for the people, and you see the result very quickly.
To date, 29 countries have been cleared of all known mine areas, but the work is not done. In 2020, there were over 7,000 landmine casualties. In Bosnia and Herzegovina alone, there are an estimated 180,000 unexploded mines and ordnance scattered throughout the country. These deadly statistics are a reminder of the longevity of damage these indiscriminate weapons leave behind.